It is a project I did. I've actually already sent the impact assessment off, but I just wanted to see your opinion on what I recommended, sort of thing. Yeah. They wanted to put a root barrier in. They replaced the stumps on the building already, like 3 years ago, and they reckon the building's heaving a little bit again, which is possible.
Yeah, unlikely.
But they didn't put any. Yeah, I thought 3 years was a short time. It's really high clay content in the soil. But just trying to find it. Have you got the pictures there, Mark?
I'm just trying to get things open now. I was out in the field all day today looking at potential culturally modified trees.
Ooh, did you find any?
And so I've only just I didn't find any. Looked at 5, found none.
Is that nearby?
Which is no, Mudgee, so a fair bit of travelling, which is why I've just got back in and trying to get this sorted out, Peter. History. Okay, how are we going with trying to get this open? And I need to get this open.
And basically, they want to put a root barrier in, but they really like the tree. They don't want to get rid of it.
So how do they think it's lifting it?
To protect the building.
How do they think?
Sorry, not lifting. The 2 rows of stumps on the tree side of the building is dipping down. So
that's mapping suction.
Which I said just put adjustable stumps in. But,
adjustable stump.
Yeah, the engineer said to put that root barrier in. I don't know if you can see the picture of it yet. I thought the root barrier, the proposed one, was pretty big, and it's not. Yeah, it's pretty tight as well. The SR said is 4 meters, and they want to put it in 2.3 meters from the center of the trunk.
Yeah, well, that's probably not helpful. And I guess the question is, what's the real problem?
That's what I was asking them, and they just don't want any problems with the building. But it's pretty old and it's all on stumps.
So adjust the soil moisture levels.
Yeah.
You know.
Obviously the quarter of the NR set is under the building, which is going to be nice and moist under there, and probably 60% is under bitumen, or maybe not 60%, but a lot of it's under bitumen, and then there's like a little garden bed inside. Well, the trees inside a little garden bed. If you can see the photos.
Not yet. Where now? I've got. No, this is not a Shine Smile, is it? Yes, it is.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I have it. So whilst that's just opening up, I will share. I'll log on with Peter. Am I logged on at the moment?
Oh, you are.
Join here too. Yeah.
Okay, looks like your second one's just joined.
Yep. Mine. Where's my second one? Oh. Okay. Share screen. Select tab to share. Entire screen. Share. Hopefully that'll. Oh, there it is. Okay. Infinity screen. And then Niels has sent me a picture. I've just got to find where your picture opened up, Niels. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, there's a couple of other photos as well.
Yeah, there's one other that I've got here, and another. I've got 4.
Yeah, cool.
So put a root barrier along here.
Yep.
The good news is it's China's mole. It'll rot like crazy. It's a little close for my liking, probably too close for my liking, but it is also a very flexible tree, and that flex means that it's harder for wind to load the whole tree up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's not. So imagine if we were to blow against a tissue and blow against a feather. The tissue is going to collapse and give way. The feather is going to provide load at your finger. You'll feel that.
Yeah.
So
it's also very wide. It's about 16 meters wide, the crown, and it's only 8 meters tall, so it's pretty stout.
Yeah. So
I thought that was a good thing. And there's the school. There's 2 school buildings on the south and west side, which is the prevailing winds.
But I mean,
I figure they would provide a little bit of protection, maybe.
Issue again, what's likely to happen. What we do know is that sinker roots are really important.
Yeah.
Just been in a conference in Hong Kong, and that was one of the things about which was really exciting. Playing anatomy and discussing those things, but I still don't understand why they don't just sort the moisture problem out.
Yeah. Because you could just have an irrigation system on it in summer or something.
Yeah, just supplement the irrigation to the soil.
Yeah.
And of course, if it's not matrix suction that's causing the problem, because they probably haven't mapped it, they probably haven't done a full geotechnical report.
No.
If it's something else that's causing problems, there's a leaking pipe underneath. Oh, you just cut all the roots and spend all that money without anyone demonstrating.
Because it's also going to be pretty hard to get. Like if you can see the other picture with the proposed size of the root barrier, I thought it's pretty excessive.
Yeah, and what did you have your root loss? Only 4, but you haven't gone down to 600 miles deep, have you?
No, I only went 400 down.
Yeah. Okay. So
there's probably going to be
some more.
The soil was that dry and hard. It's really high clay content.
Oh, I do.
Any deeper?
I do get it. I get it totally. But yes, and the fact that you've got stout tree is really important again in stability. You've got a sticky factor. If you run it through tree calc, I don't think you'll find shyness in tree calc, but if you run it through tree calc, maybe Salix babylonica or something, there's lots of flexibility. But I think you'll find that your margins for safety are quite high. But it'd be worthwhile just having a look at that.
Well, you've got the root calculator up there. I'm just going to double check that it's all that I did it.
Yeah, you filled it in correctly.
Sure. Because some of the numbers down the bottom, they'll say 0.62, 0.62, which I didn't understand why. Could be something in the background.
I don't know why they're saying 0.62. That's a good question. Why the ones are saying the same thing. So it might be worth your while putting them back again and just double checking that, because that doesn't seem right. Yeah.
Because initially I put all the roots in order as I found them, which was all, all random numbers. And then I put the highest number up the top.
Yeah.
And then it went from like 2% to 4.3. So I figured there was else. I'll try to do it again. But.
Yeah, just run it through again. I'm happy to do it with you, but it's something you can do. And if it's giving you the same answer, then the fixtures on in rows 16 and 17. So it may be worth.
Yeah.
Because row 9 looks about right. Those 9 to 15 look right. As far as I know, the equation is the same for each row, but you can do that again very quickly. Just open up, put 97 centimeters in 1 millimeter root.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Calculator. Doesn't matter where it's from. It's all the same.
Yeah.
90.
I
7.
I did tell them as well to definitely not do it in summer,
Yeah.
but start irrigating
summer.
the.
Yeah, there is an error there.
I was going to specify irrigation as well.
I don't know why it's there, but if you have a look, I've just put it through, and for 1 centimeter, 97 centimeter tree, it should be 0.11. So
Yeah.
I'll just try and see that changes.
What did you use as the diameter of the lower trunk, Mills?
The how much was it? I can't remember now. It's quite
Yeah, there is
big at the
something wrong there,
base.
Neil. Running down the page.
You getting the same thing?
I'm getting it repeating. Let's just go to. Yeah, it's filled in and gone down there. So I'll have a look at that for you tomorrow. I don't know why that is.
Yeah. It's probably actually overestimated the root loss.
No, yeah, but
A
only
little bit.
marginally, because once you get down to that bottom end, as you saw, it's pretty well insignificant. I wonder why it does that, because these haven't been entered. There's no, it must be reproducing that way. I'd say there's an error in row 10. We'll find it for you tomorrow and get it fixed.
Yeah, we'll see, have a look at that. But I wasn't worried about the 4.3% at all.
Yeah, I get the
But then there might be more.
Yeah, no,
might be more deeper down. They want to see.
Again, yeah, they want to go to a meter or what, 800 or something.
No, if you look at the drawing, they want it to be 1.8 meters deep.
1.8 meters deep.
150 mil below the surface.
Yeah.
Which is funny because all the roots are in the top 150 mil.
Tell them to put in some helical piers and be done with doing the job. A house that's not built to be near a tree, or a building that's not built to be near a tree, it's just bad engineering.
Yeah. And basically it's the re-stumping people saying if we're gonna guarantee you that the building will be level, we want this root barrier to be put in.
Well, that's down as far as I know.
It's probably not going to do that much.
Possible to bedrock.
Yeah.
Or outside
the
zone
deep.
of influence.
And I don't know
what the zone of influence from matrix suction is. It's usually something that's somewhat hemispherical. And it seems like nobody's calculated anything. They've just come up and said, well, we're going to follow a standard pattern, and that's just tough luck.
Well, yeah, they didn't even know that. I was explaining to them that it's the water getting sucked out of the soil under the building, and they thought there was the roots pushing on all the stumps.
Yeah, that makes
it
push it down.
Move the tree in 3 years.
Okay, well, there's there.
And I don't know what sort of excavator you can get, because you need a pretty small one to fit under the canopy. I doubt you can dig 2 meters deep with a
small
really
machine
small
that would do the
excavator.
job, or a bigger machine that would step back and be able to do it. You know, backhoe with an extender hoe on it, something like that. But you know, they're going down 800 mils. There's a fair bit. But what we do know from our sample is your tree is gone 400 mils deep. Your It's not a surface rooter. It's not close to the surface. If the roots were close to the surface, they'd be bigger in diameter, near more often. Your tree is either what they call a heart rooter. It's got a lot more roots going in and down, and sometimes at an angle. Or it's got a big cortex or tap root still existing from its earliest stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the bitumen around that garden bed as well has got little cracks in it from roots, and the roots are pretty far away from the tree, like 20 meters.
And almost. I don't. The fact that at one spot they've got bitumen covering, and another spot they've got moisture getting in, that automatically results in this differential movement of soil. One section expanding more than the other.
Yep.
Next one.
Thank you.
Question. Graham says, canvas regulators is being used by utilities and arborists so we can understand the practical application benefits and use issues. What is the target risk of non-target plant tree impact? What's the impact on birds, opossums, etc.? Does it move in the soil, and how long does it take to degrade? How much benefit does it provide? The answer is, starting at the back end, it's useful. It inhibits growth, and it does so quite well. It is difficult to get right. You need to make sure that and there have been problems in figuring that out because it varies from plant to plant. There are issues with birds and possums, not that I know of. It's approved as a lawn spray for stopping grass growing as fast. And I'm making some assumptions here. Let me look at active constituents. I'm assuming it's a paclobutazole or something in that range. So paclobutazole would be the equivalent. And it's just affects the plant's hormonal basis, doesn't grow as long, causes stunting. It's something that's been used in utility arboriculture for, I'm going to say, 25, 30 years, Peter, the process?
Yep. That would be about right. I remember you saying it 20 or 25 years ago.
Yeah, so I don't think there's much risk. If you're doing a soil application, the answer is yes, there will be non-target plants, and that would be an issue. So if you had plants nearby, that you may cause stunting of the growth of them, and that's something to consider. No, it's a rainbow things. So there, I always thought they were using paclobutazole. Yeah, paclobutazole. So yeah, I would be cautious about a ground applied and deal with a applied, but there are a whole lot of trees that won't work on as well, just because they've got massive thick bark. And I'm happy if you want at some stage or other, Peter, you can make a note of this, to get Tom Prosser from Rainbow on the discussion with us about it, if you'd like that, Graham.
And did it go right with Kevin?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'm throwing up as CC on the board there, but thanks for that information. And yeah, it would be, I think, well, I would find it beneficial for myself to find out more about it. I don't know what the others.
I've got a loader on it. It's got some other advantages. It's used after root severance, particularly planting, to reduce growth, increase root growth, so you get a quicker return to root crown ratio. But misapplication is the big issue. Trying to get the dosage right it's going to be your issue the whole way. And so a lot of that's experimental. I know that science, the guys have been using it for ages, and other than silly things like off-target application or dosage, it seems to be fine. And dosage is critical, and unfortunately there are minor variations in all sorts of plants that we need to be aware of. Yeah, look, I wouldn't have a problem in its use. As I said, go down to Bunnings and I'm pretty sure you can find it in a spray-on lawn spray to slow down that horrible growth rate out of grasses like kikuyu, back down and give them more time. Also makes the leaf darker, often darker, a little bit more leathery, and so there's an appeal level with it. And if you combine it with good pruning, it certainly has a great effect on in terms of managing regrowth. And that's what they're for. They're trying to stop the rate at which the foliage grows up. That's that one, hopefully. And Peter, we'll try and get. It probably won't be Tom that will come on. It'll be one of his days, but he's really quite approachable and keen to do. That's the two that I've got that I can see straight away.
Yeah, that's it, Mark.
Okay, great.
Peter, I sent you one
Oh, did you?
a few days ago.
A few days ago. Okay.
I'll open up to see if I've got one from Vicky. Investigation.
Yes, here it is. I'll just forward that through now.
Is that the root investigation one?
No.
No, okay. Thank you, Peter. It'll take a little bit of time to come through. So I was going to share with you whilst we're there that I just got back on Saturday from being in Hong Kong at a conference in Hong Kong, and I have to say I was thoroughly impressed. The quality of the education was just mind-boggling. I felt well and truly out of my depth. Some really clever guys, and it wasn't just a talk. They each gave a series of talks, often 3 or 4, on their subject matter, and they were definitely above, well above the norm. So you can see here we had some time on anatomy, which was just superb. Looking the bits and pieces, lots of work on the problems of tomography and resistograph work. So a really big push to try and understand the need for accurate trunk drawing. So things like this is important, and you can see the number of sensors that they've had to get this process. So lots of talk about being careful not to misunderstand how tomography works. If you've got a tree like this, you've got lots of sinuses, and if you put a resistograph in here, you like to find the tree is potentially hollow because you'll be drilling into bark sinuses. And likewise, when you test, if you test between the buttress and the buttress, the sound will take a lot to go through. The other thing that Frank Rinn made a comment on that I thought was really interesting is sound travels up and down faster than it travels across the tree. So if you've got a basal decay, it can go over the top of it and you may not perceive that it's being there. So that was an interesting set of comments. Rich Hauer, I think who else was there? Oh, I've got to show you this because I think you'll find this just brilliant. So work on the problems with TR, again, really come to the fore. So TR is not a final thing to use. It's a starting point to make you think. It shouldn't be used to just say go. Some work on bare root transplanting using the air spade on friable soils to blow off the roots, get rid of the excess soil, and they're taking these massive root plates in order to achieve that. You can see here, very much a surface rooted tree with just the occasional odd sinker, and that gave them some issues, but amazing work. And associated with this same work was looking at I can find it, did a whole pile of digging up trees, photographing and 3D mapping the entire root system, and then putting miniatures of it in the centrifuge, adjusting for everything. So adjusting for the coefficient of friction, so that their scale model had a similar coefficient of friction to the roots in the soil. Put them in a massive centrifuge, spun them around, tested the loading, and the one thing that came out of that research, and I will find the models, was that the root system of the trees is optimized for the soil almost regardless of the root morphology, the root plate morphology, simply adjusted. Here's the talk here. So they dug up the trees and then made absolute perfect scale models, 3D printed them, and then went and loaded them so they could see how they responded in the soil. Andy, you've got a question? Yeah, mic's off.
Mark, this is very interesting. When the proceedings are published, is there any chance of getting a link to that we could read it?
I'd have to find out from the coordinator, but I will make a note to do that. I'm off to the US on Sunday, so we'll get it done. Go.
No. Thanks.
But having just come from the ISA's one, I have to say it was an eye opener in terms of the quality of what was presented. I'm not suggesting that Christchurch is not good. I'm just saying that this is for a privately coordinated thing in Hong Kong as essentially a non-money making process. It was pretty amazing. So that's the centrifuge that they put their models into and spun it around. Again, not everyone has $1 million centrifuge. Lots of work on using trees for stabilization, tree roots. Alexia Stokes, one of the authors of a great textbook on tree or on roots, talked about how, in fact, two of the speakers or three of the speakers talked about how diversity was critical in the process of restoring systems. So slope stabilization, for example, having a mix of plant material was critical. And the same thing happened when trees were planted in the urban areas. Trees that were planted with different root systems actually affected the root system of one tree, affects the root morphology of its surrounding trees. So that was interesting, great quality work. So some pretty amazing stuff that was coming out of Hong Kong, and then straight afterwards a number of them went up to the summit for arboriculture in Thailand, and I was really impressed with that because my experiences in Thailand was that there were quite a reasonable amount behind a lot of the Western world in arboriculture. So seeing the science starting to head to Thailand was just an amazing thing to see. And there was a great talk on Singapore Botanic Gardens from Singapore Botanic Gardens on how they manage their trees, not just the Botanic Gardens. And they are serious contenders in doing things at a level that we just would dream about. Their trees are beautifully manicured, perhaps a little over manicured, but they do a whole pile of research on, what fungus is this? Should we be worried about? Will it affect this species in general? And so if they have a tree that's dying or a problem, they go out and get it diagnosed, not like, I'll be careful, not like people with big parks that in capital cities that say we're just going to get rid of every tree because they're all going to die without finding out what the problem is. They go out and name it. So I suggest that you keep your eyes open for the International Boroculture Summit in Hong Kong as something that could be a good alternative going to the USA, a little cheaper, and a little less travel time, 9 hours or 9.5 hours to Hong Kong versus 14 hours or 10.5 hours as Kath and I and find out in the next week or two. So some serious things. Francesco Ferrini is this man here, Frank Grin. This is Alexia Stokes, Don Picker, John, his son, gave the presentation on bear rooting, and it was a really good balancing. And at the end of every day, they just sat down, had a panel, and just answered questions for 15 minutes, which was again a good way of just finalising things out. And then, of course, there's the ugly fella there, but what do you do about him? Not much. I was just the tail end of it. I felt certainly well out of my depth. Some amazing people with great skills and knowledge. So questions about that? That's just something to think about, that we're still learning. We're still changing, and that's something that Rich Howe, this guy here, keeps on coming up with new paper after new paper after new paper, although he has now left the university, which is a shame. So a little bit, we might see a little bit less out of Rich, but has contributed some great research. I think, Kath, you've been to a number of his lectures. Always find him good. Same with Francesco. Francesco's students are amazing as well. I think not in the limelight a little bit more. Francesco shares their information, but it would be nice to see it presented by the guys that did the research. So that's about it from that side. I will share one thing that I think's worthwhile knowing from that in terms of the images. Where am I here? Because the question that's been asked of me on many occasions, and never sat down and figured out the answer. And when it was given, I thought, oh, how was it so stupidly obvious and I got it wrong or didn't figure it out? Where the discoloration is occurring because those cells are dying. Those cells are dying. The tree's getting it to heartwood. It doesn't need those cells. It just needs this wood out in this end of the world. And that's something we see regularly. What's causing this? And the answer is it's just redundancy in the system. Same here. All things being even, if this was a round stem, our heartwood would be here. This case, we said, look, I don't need any of that. That can all be heartwood too. We'll make ourselves a little bit stronger, a little bit better off, and just convert it to heartwood. So heartwood doesn't always occur in concentric rings. When I looked at it, I thought, wow, that was just so obvious. It had never come across my mind. And you'll see this often with branches. So hopefully that's something that's of use to you. Anything else, guys?
Did you see the email that I forwarded?
Oh, Vicky's. Thank you. Yes, I'll have a look now. Yes, it's come through, so I'll deal with Vicky's one. Jacaranda mimosa folia. We'll open PDF. There it is. We've got two stems or two branches, two parts of Jacaranda, the rubbing I would leave them alone and let them go home wagging the tails behind them.
So the one on the right hand side is the lower, say, at least meter is quite hollow when you tap it all.
Yeah, but I mean that's because it's just being damaged. They seldom fail. So
If you scroll down, there's a couple of close-up photos.
thank you. We're getting some adaptive growth.
And it's extending out across a public walkway.
Yeah, if you want. Well, okay, so we've got a wound at the base there. And this looks like it's had something wrapped around it or it's been cut. Again, how much has been lost in the way of tissue there? I'm pretty sure if you tapped it, it'd be basically okay. What you will get in, if this is dead tissue, is you'll see a recula or jelly fungus or ear fungus.
There was no fungus there, and it was
Yeah,
quite
no,
soft.
It'll get
Yeah.
in time, and that's what I'd say. Look out for is, let's reassess it in 3 to 5 years. But I've seen rubbing branches now that have been on trees for decades, and you look at them and you think how, and the answer is the trees largely figuring that out. And I say figuring it out, anthropomorphizing, thinking like we do. They're just biochemically reacting, but they've got an exquisite capacity to do that makes it look like a thought process, much as our use of synapses or a brain cell is just a biochemical process that makes it look like we're thinking. Well, we argue we are, we argue plants don't, but the thing that I am most aware of is, and very clear by the time we finished the conference, I presented on the true cost of tree risk assessment and looked at the negative side of tree risk assessment and the fact that we take perfectly healthy trees and cut them down. And the general position I hold is that if the tree's healthy, don't worry about the rest of the tree. Will start adjusting and dealing with it.
So we shouldn't prune off that branch or that leader, or just leave it.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to leave it and let's see what happens. But I've seen massive flattened material. Ficus, for example, does it. If you wanted to do something that was somewhat useful, for example, here, you could run a bolt through. And the advantage of running a bolt through is you could get it to the stage where hopefully it doesn't move as much. There's some grafting going on, some what they call inosculation. But yeah, no, one of the comments that was asked right at the end on transplanting was, or root cutting in general, was, do you cut the branch off that's directly above the root when you do a major cut back to the trunk? My answer is, well, no, let the tree deal with it. It'll tell you. And if it dies, then you cut it. So if this fails, I mean, I know it's over a footpath, but it's what sort of conditions are going to fail in? Not going to fail on just a normal day. It's going to fail during severe weather conditions where, unless it's over a shopping centre street or something like that, the use of that area underneath the tree is probably likely to be minimal, and parts are going to get caught up in whatever that is behind it.
Yeah, there's a couple of exempt species, smaller ones that are growing up through the canopy, but the walkway is used quite often by people. Local residents cut through to the station there.
Yeah, and that's my point is, in conditions when failures like to occur, the usage will diminish on all probabilities.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And that's my view again. I know there are people that are more conservative, but I mean, if we went the other side, looks like a reasonable sized tree. Maybe 10 meters diameter, something like that.
Yeah.
So 5 meter radius, 25, 75. So the tree's giving us $750 worth of life-saving health benefits every year. It's got to have a reasonably high risk. It's got to be, you know, way up there with driving. And most trees don't get up there. They're rare. I can pull up that slide.
Okay, thank you.
Again. Let me just pull up to. Hopefully I didn't cut myself off then. Did I cut myself out? No, I didn't. Good. And complete Hong Kong. They moved it out already. They are quick. In my office, they file faster than I can do. This drive, Hong Kong. Yeah, folder. So, okay, that's a PDF. That's okay. That'll allow us to display it. That won't. We'll go. So this is a conceptual tree risk distribution that comes out of the third edition of the BMP. It's figure 18, just been modified, but it's similar to what's there. So, and then what you get is what it really looks like, which is this circle here with that little red line there. And then when you look at what's in the unacceptable range or somewhere around driving or a little higher than driving, it's this little bit here, which you've got to expand to such a huge extent to even see. It's, you know, this less than 1% of that. So we've got to look at a lot of trees to get to that stage. And it's the same here. That's 1 in every 4,500, which is about what we expect the average occurrence of a tree of concern. That's something that's in the tolerable or unacceptable range. This is what it's like driving in Australia. That little dot you can see is in there. And this is what it's like driving in the US 3 times higher. Pity help me. And there's the dot there. You can see how tiny that is. It's just ridiculously small. And so we're looking for something that really does stand out from the norm when it comes to risk in many cases. Now, that standing out is not just the problems with the tree, it is also about target. But we have trees in places where there are 2 and 3 targets constantly present over a 24-hour, 7-day period. For example, outside a major train station, Parramatta, Strathfield, the city stations are all in that category. So this is, you know, your tree, whilst it's in an area where people go past, it's in an area where there'll be some modification of usage. And the other thing is it's going to fail during conditions where somebody says, well, okay, that was expected, you know, strong winds break trees. What we don't want is parts falling on perfectly still days when somebody says, well, that's scary as, you know, somebody must be negligent for that to happen. That wasn't just a storm event. In storm events, anything can fail, and we seem to accept that a lot more as society. The ones that we don't accept are things that fail in sort of more normal weather conditions. Is that happy, Vicky?
Yeah, thanks.
Now, keep in mind that I am not risk averse. I put most people towards the lower end, but the data is that statistically most arborists overestimate the risk by somewhere around about 5,000 times, which is a pretty big overestimation. Estimate and the systems, because the systems that we use overestimate risk. So whether it be valid QTRA, the BTRA, or the system taught during track, they tend to be overestimated. No other questions? Well, Peter, I believe we've got our next one in January.
Yeah, the end of January.
Yep. If you have questions in the meantime, feel free to send them down to Peter. I'll have a quick look and get back to you one-on-one if it's something that's urgent, and then we'll raise it again during ArborMentor. So don't feel just doing anything for 6 or 8 weeks that you're left out there alone. Happy to continue to support, and Peter will continue to send them out to the mentors to have a look at.
Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Good night.
guys.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for that. Have a good
My pleasure.
Christmas.
Same to you all. Bye.